Today I wanted to do a video about the bench press. Done a few progress videos, like 3 or 4 year progress videos. So I've done that for the squat, bench, and deadlift. And on the bench press one, there seemed to be the most interest in a video describing what worked in increasing my bench the most during that time frame, like what I did, kind of changing coaching programs that I implemented. And so I wanted to make a video about that. I wanted to kind of discuss that and answer that because there were some definitely, we're going to narrow it down in this video to 3 things that I noticed the most, or that when I implemented these 3 changes, I noticed the biggest increase in my bench, the most improvement. When I first started benching, when I first started getting into powerlifting and like benching regularly, I made pretty quick progress from like 275, or like by the time when I was starting getting into powerlifting, I'd already been doing like bodybuilding style training, so I had been benching. But when I first started getting into like powerlifting specific style training with like a coach, I think my first coach was Josh Bryant, Jailhouse Strong. I think my bench at that point was at like 290, was at like 310, like I don't know, I might have been at about 3 plates. We'll call it at around 3 plates. From about 315 to 350, I made pretty steady, consistent progress. I guess you could call that noob powerlifting gains. They weren't really like noob gains since I'd been in the gym for a while, but they were noob powerlifting gains. They after focusing specifically on powerlifting, and like, you know, hammering, or not hammering, but like benching more, putting more focus towards the bench. I made that progress from 315 to 350 pretty quickly. And then at 350, I stalled for a while. So the first thing I want to address is frequency. For a long time when I was stuck on 350, I'd kind of just gotten into the mindset of you bench once a week. You kind of do the main lifts once a week, kind of like you do on a bodybuilding split. You do 1 body part per week. And that just wasn't really cutting it. When I joined SMG Powerlifting, you remember from some of the older videos, the owner Mike there was doing RTS programming with Mike Toucher. And like, I was like, this is a lot, like, you know, he's doing the lifts like more often than I think. And like, he is crazy strong. And like, this is something that, you know, I think is worth a try. So then I started up with RTS, and I was like, he had me benching 4 times a week. And I was like, wow, like this is unheard of really for me. Like I never even thought of benching more than once, maybe twice a week. Upping my bench frequency from once per week to 4 times a week pretty much busted me out of my 350 plateau like that. Like within a few weeks, like I was feeling like with the rep work, I knew that my max was higher than 350 at that point. Just a shock to the system going from benching once a week to 4 times a week is a pretty surefire way to help bust you out of a plateau if you've been in, you know, a rut or been stuck on one single number for an extended period of time like I was. And I know 4 times a week may not be plausible or feasible for some of you guys. It probably isn't feasible for me at this moment. At the time it was because it you know, it's tough on the body. But just an increase in frequency from like once a week to like twice a week or 3 times a week if your body can handle it, it can be a really good thing to kind of get you going, to jumpstart your programming and get you out of that plateau. So number 2 is volume. So at the time when I was stuck on 350, I'd gotten used to doing maybe 1 top set, and that was it for flat bench. That was it for bench. I'd maybe do some triceps, shoulders, but it was like 1 top set for bench and call it a day. My body got used to that. It got used to that pretty quickly, and it just refused to make progress doing that 1 set. Around the time that I started doing programming with Mike Toucher, that volume increased. Soon on bench days, I was doing, you know, 5 sets of 5, 6 sets of 5, 7 sets of 4, stuff like that. And just that extra volume really helped me break out of the rut that I was in. And I think volume and frequency are very tied together, and they're often mistaken for each other. So frequency is basically like the number of times per week you are benching, and volume is how much you are benching during those weekdays. My volume had been on the really low side for a long time. Maybe not really low side, but it was on the low side, and your body's good at adapting to certain stimuli. So that's kind of what happened, is my body adapted to what I was doing when I was stuck on 350. It adapted pretty quickly, and I was not smart enough to change anything up. I was not smart enough to increase the volume, and that's what you have to do. You have to change things up, and one of the best ways with the bench press or other lifts is to increase the the volume you're doing on any given day of benching. And the last thing that I want to go over that really helped me is specificity, and this kind of ties it all in. So I've gotten used to doing a variety of exercises, doing a lot of upper body accessory exercises that weren't directly related to the bench, isolation exercises and whatnot. And this is going to be kind of a controversial one. But we are talking about how to increase your bench press as a natural lifter, how to break yourself out of plateaus. I know people are big on isolation work. It has its place, accessory work. But what I noticed, what really helped me get from 350 to 405 was very specific bench work. So what I'm talking about is my accessory work started to look like pin presses, 2-second pauses, 3-second pauses, touch and go, maybe incline on some days. So that is a very different set of exercises from exercises like OHP, tricep extensions, bicep curls, lateral raises, stuff of that nature. Now my bench/upper body workouts when I was stuck on that 350 plateau contained a majority of those exercises, and I wasn't really going anywhere in terms of the bench press. And that's what we're talking about in this video. We are talking about increasing the bench press. We're not talking about physique. We're not talking about general strength. We're not talking about health, general body health. We're talking about increasing your fucking bench press. My bench training became a lot more specific. My numbers started to go up, and it was very directly correlated. Now, even for other naturals out there, you may not experience the same exact thing. But what I am saying is that's what I did. That's what helped increase my bench very fast. It was actually surprisingly fast. Just by increasing the big three, volume, frequency, and specificity, my bench took off pretty fast. It went from like 350 to like 375 in a pretty short amount of time for how long I had been lifting at the time, even doing powerlifting style training. As you can tell by hearing me talk about them, they all like directly tie into each other. I could have just done like one segment, but I thought it would be nice to kind of break it up into three. You see each individual part on its own. But again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I wanted to tell you how I skinned a cat. And so hope you guys enjoy. Drop a like, subscription, more videos on the way. And until next time, I will see. Why do I always do that? Like, I just can't end a video. I say like, until next time, I'll see you next time. I'll see you next time.